Hello, my lovely peaches. How are you? Happy Friday. I'm very, very hot right now. It's Friday, June 21st, 2024. And what time is it right now? Let me check. Got it. 6:16 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday. So I have some notes. So late last night, I made a TikTok. I made 2 TikToks, and I think I'm going to just pop those in to the beginning of this. So there's going to be like, I think it's like 2 10-minute TikToks and then a 4-minute TikTok. So that's like 24 minutes. And then I screen recorded a few minutes of Emily D. Baker and several chunks of Peter Tragos's lives talking about it today. And I was watching on Surviving the Survivor, where there was no commentary, which I really was enjoying, so I could just, unencumbered, unbiased, without. So I do love listening to the comments, like Emily's. I did go back and listen to her, but I like to be able to hear it like fresh, like a juror would, without a lawyer in my ear like, So I enjoy it, but I enjoy hearing their comments, but I also enjoy to be able to hear it on my own. Oh yeah, just a little fair warning that the TikTok videos, it's super late. It's really dark. I am super exhausted and I'm like, So it's a little bit of a crazy little bit of a laggy type of update. So feel free to fast forward any part that you like. Also, I always recommend, I don't always recommend, but I always do it. And I do recommend, I say I always, as in I've recommended this. My hair is sticking to my forehead because it's sweaty and hot in here. It's humid. I have often recommended that when you're listening to my videos, feel free to watch them on 1.25 speed or 1.5 speed or even 1.75 speed, because sometimes I enjoy listening to videos at that speed and it's just faster. And, of course I enjoy if you hang out with me in real time, but don't ever hesitate to listen on a speed that gets through it faster. If I'm talking slow or you want to get to the point, or you can always hit fast forward. Just a tip, just a suggestion. I love you guys being here, and also you don't have to watch every second of every video. I know lots of you don't, most of you don't, but it would be nice if you would check it out, because I put a lot of work into it. I find it interesting. Okay, so now let's get to the clips, the TikTok that I made, the 3 TikToks that I made. Then I'm going to pop back in right from here, and I'm going to read my notes, and then I will put the clip of Emily's opinions, and then Peter, and I will leave it at Peter Tragos, who is Lawyer on YouTube. He's amazing. Go follow him. He is trying to get to, I don't know if it's 400,000 or 500,000, but in the meantime, don't forget to follow me. I am trying to get to 1,000, and that would be awesome. He said he's trying to get to 450 or whatever it is before the end of the trial. I would love it if I could get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the trial. And I believe by the end of next week, we will have a verdict. And I am leaning heavily toward not guilty. I actually am at this point, and I will tell you why. Let me get to the tab with my notes. Okie dokes. So, here's a couple more notes. Let's see. Okay. Whew. Okay, so I wrote my notes in whatever. I have to stop the video here, so we go to the TikTok, and then I'll be back at the end of those little TikToks. I'll see you there. Oh my God, it is super late. It's 1:42 a.m. But I really wanted to do a quick update for Karen Reed trial. Oh yeah, you can see my new curtain. It's down because I was getting cold and the air conditioning is on, which you might be able to hear. And I've been like, I have to keep turning it off and turning it on. And I really wanted to put a curtain up. So I see I have a curtain over here and I have a curtain here. And I use these pieces of fabric really just to help the air conditioning work better, because I need to buy either a third air conditioner or a better one, but I can't buy a big Mama Jamma one anyway. So okay, so today was Karen Reed trial day. What was the day? 28. Let me see if I can move it over here. It's so dark. So I watched a bunch of the trial today, on and off. I watched some of Peter's recap. Well, yeah, just about all of Peter Tragos' recap. I watched some of Alita, Legal Bites. I watched some of Emily. I watched some Surviving the Survivor. I watched some Lawyer Lee. Today was the day where they played those voicemails, and that was what I was waiting for. Like every single day, I'm like, oh, okay, well, this next thing is supposed to be the bombshell. Oh, no? Okay, well, the next... So, supposedly, there were these, like, big bombshell voicemails Karen left on John's phone. The bombshell that I gathered was she was leaving voicemails, like, as if she didn't think he was dead. The first one was, I fucking hate you, John. Then there was like a 9-second nothing, and then there was like a butt dial where you could hear her walking around or something. She sent him a Facebook message like, I'm here with your ducking kids. Or was it ducking or cucking? Like it, you know, changed fucking. I'm getting very, very sleepy. So I should be going to sleep. Yesterday was a day where I got like 3 hours of sleep, and then I stayed up all day doing chores and work, and then stayed up real late working on videos until 3 a.m. What kind of update is this? Okay, so then she sends... So wait, there was this like Facebook message that she sends to Laura Sullivan, who was John O'Keefe's friend, John O'Keefe's best friends. I am exhausted. I think it's like delirious over here. So it's this shirt. It's like making my boobs look like they're so long. Okay. All right. So Laura Sullivan was the girlfriend of John O'Keefe's best friend, his best friend from childhood that he played t-ball with when they were like 4 years old. And then she was dating that best friend, and then she got pregnant with best friend's baby, and then he X'd himself out. And he was also a cop, and he was John O'Keefe's best friend, and so he was the godfather of that lady, Laura Sullivan's son. And she was the one who set up the Aruba trip, and her sister, Marietta, is the woman who John was hugging hello in the elevator bay, and Karen said, "Who the fuck is that?" And then Marietta said that she walked around the back around the corner to see, what's going on. And then she says hello to Karen, and Karen says, "Yeah, fuck you! Go fuck yourself." Okay. And then, she'd apologized, and she said, she was sorry or whatever to Laura. So anyway, she's Facebook messaging with Laura saying, John's dead, or John died. can't get comfortable. I gotta go to sleep. Anyway, those voicemails that I heard today, I was just like, so she thought he was alive? Because she's like, I'm with your fucking niece. You're using me, John. I'm sitting here sleeping next to your niece and you're out there fucking somebody, you fucking pervert. You're a pervert, John. Whoa. I hope I'm not waking up my kids or the neighbors. But I'm like, she thinks he's out there fucking somebody? How is that proof that she knows that she killed him? So I don't know. I'm like, I think this girl's gonna go not guilty. Like, at this point, that's it. Then you had the ME come on, and people are very stupid. I just want to mention, by the way, people are stupid, closed-minded, and real ignorant. This lady came on, this super intelligent lady. She had a very pretty green lace tank top on, and it was like up to here, and then she had an arm sleeve like a tat, and she had like a skull, and it was, but she's like, what did Runkle of the Bailey call her? Oh, did I mention I was listening to him too? He said it was so fucked up what he said. What did he call her? A brain chopper. He said, let me get back to the brain chopping testimony. I was like, oh my fucking God, dude. But anyway, people were like, oh my God, I can't believe she's like got her shoulders out. How inappropriate. She's got a tattoo. I'm like, really? You're that stupid. You're that old-fashioned. You're that closed-minded. You're that ignorant that you don't think a professional can look like that? Dumbass. That's for everybody who thought that she shouldn't show up as herself. But anyway, I gotta go back and listen to more of that testimony. Then we had the ME, the medical examiner, who had determined that the manner of death was undetermined. And she talked about John's injuries, and I don't know. I mean, like I've said already a bunch of times, I do think that, yeah, she probably, most likely, yeah, I think that she did hit him with her car. But did she do it on purpose? I'm not getting that. I'm getting no. She did not do it on purpose. Did she even know she did it? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, if every single day it's like, okay, well, maybe tomorrow there'll be a bombshell, and then when the so-called bombshell comes out, it's like, like, why? I'm not on the jury, obviously, but if I was, I would be voting no. That's sad. That's really, really, really sad that man is dead. It is super, super, super sad. It's just very horrible. It's so horrible that those children, you know, I don't know who's raising them now. I would imagine it's the rest of the family, but just what a tragedy. And also something that, it's about to be over. They testified, but it was confidential, private. We'll never know, I guess, so. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts just rested their case on Karen Reed. They are at sidebar. I cannot believe it. They're about to ask for, like, are they going to take a break? They're about to ask for, like, end it now because we don't need to. Like, they literally did not prove it. I can't believe they just I am shocked. Holy crap-a-moly, man. To the fan. Wow. Well, my opinion is not guilty. Do I think that Karen Reed very likely may have hit John with her car? It's a possibility. She probably did hit him. I think her hitting him is a lot more likely than the possibility that the Alberts, the McCabe's, Brian Higgins, Colin beat him up and dragged him outside. But this is their case that they put on. They just rested, and now the defense is supposed to put their case on? No. Between Trooper Proctor and all of the disgusting, vile, nasty, awful things that he said, between the Solo cups, collecting blood and putting in a Stop and Shop paper bag, between no body cam footage, no recorded interviews, between no consistency in the testimony about what Karen Reed supposedly said. Oh, it's so dark. It's so dark, but I had to jump in because I was resaving the video and I'm listing the stuff that they didn't do. And what about their reports they didn't do? What about anybody putting any of the things in the report that they should have put in there? The EMTs, nope. The other EMT, nope. The troopers, nope. The other cops, nope. What, the custody, the chain of custody for the evidence, nope. Do you have an evidence log? Nope. Did you write in your report that she said, I hit him? Nope. Did you tell the medical personnel? Yeah. Did they write it down? Nope. So you didn't take notes, you didn't make reports, and we're supposed to just believe you. Like, what was it Emily D. Baker said, that Trooper Paul's reasoning for his accident reconstruction wasn't science, it was, trust me, bruh. I mean, I know it's only 1724. Why would cops have body cameras? Why would you have a video recording in an interview room? Why would you bother to do that? Why would you bother to take proper photos of the crime scene itself, the accident itself? Why would you put crime scene tape around? So they were saying, well, it was a blizzard. We couldn't put a tent up. We couldn't put crime scene tape. We had to just, they leaf blowed shit so that they could put bloody snow in Solo cups, open air cups in an open air bag that they got out of the back of some cop car, a Stop and Shop bag. Oh, I thought it looked like an evidence bag, but it wasn't. I get it was cold and it was snowy and shit, but like, this is your job. This is your job. You're not just a good Samaritan driving by and suddenly see something and that would make sense. You do what you can, you pull what you can out. Even though, why would they be doing that like that? Like, what did Runkle of the Bailey say? That made so much sense to me. Because the cops had testified that, they didn't put the tent up because it was too windy. And then they like immediately opened up the lawn, and meaning like they were like, oh, crime scene's not a crime scene, it's all dunsies. And they just had it like, again, open air, exposed to anything, anyone. At no point did they like secure the scene. Like, why wouldn't you immediately secure the scene, leave the car there, obviously not the victim. That's what Runkle said. They should have secured the scene on the lawn. Do your best. This is Boston, people. You're acting like you don't have resources? So for me, I just feel like we don't live in 1724 with Paul Revere and Benjamin Franklin are the people, and it's like, well, Skip, you had your little pencil and your little pad and it got messed up in the snow, and I'm sorry that the evidence got ruined because it got wet and my report got torn up. I can't read what I wrote, Bob. No. 2022, year of, we got smartphones and shit. And why didn't they take photographs of the car? Why didn't they take photographs of him on the ground? Like, they had a handful of seriously? Why did there's just so many questions about, why did you not gather better evidence? Why didn't you? I mean, I don't necessarily feel like they would have had to have gone into the house. However, the fact that he was supposed to go there, like, yeah, they did go and they interviewed people, but they didn't search. They didn't, they treated it like, these are our friends. And again, I don't necessarily believe that they had a conspiracy and that they were covering it up or creating stuff, but Jen McCabe was allowed to delete messages, and she said it was between her and her daughter and it was private, and that could have been true, but at the same time, if it was irrelevant to the case, they wouldn't have talked about it. So it would have only been seen by the cops who were investigating, and so again, I don't think that they necessarily proved that there was an actual conspiracy, but these phone calls, text messages that were, 9 seconds, 22 seconds, and everybody's like, nope, didn't happen. So, it's like, well, they were on the record, they were on the phone record, so they did happen, but what was that about? So that is like weird, but it doesn't prove anything necessarily. The butt dials, and there's the phones that were destroyed right before they were about to be issued, I don't remember what it was called, the do not destroy your phone thing. And the day before, they both, Higgins and Brian Albert, both destroyed their phones the day before they were about to be issued this keep your phone letter. So who told them? And again, maybe there was nothing on there. Maybe there was. It's like, you don't know when you don't know. You can't say, oh, they absolutely, like, what was it? Somebody said it was so ridiculous. Some people, they are just like, ding, 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 but, that's people. I don't know if it's like, I think it was like, if it was a dog bite or scratch, then it's over. Like, how does that make it over? The man was outside on the lawn all night long, where God knows what animals walking by, like, I don't know if foxes live there, but there's deer, there's squirrels, there's groundhogs, there's birds, there's dogs, there's cats, there's raccoons. I don't know if there's opossums around there, but you know what I'm saying? Like, there's wildlife. And okay, so it was cold and it was a blizzard, so it was probably not a lot of wildlife out, but maybe it was Chloe the dog. Maybe it was another dog. Maybe it happened when he got hit. Maybe it was from the taillight. Maybe it was from him getting scraped on the ground. Maybe they didn't do a good job of collecting evidence. And maybe the people who supposed to do a good job didn't. And they were obviously friends with the people whose lawn John was found on. And so maybe the conspiracy cover-up isn't that those all people murdered John, but that, they just, I don't know, maybe they were talking back and forth about it. Maybe they were all talking about how much they fucking hated Karen and her dumb Fall River accent, or it was a weird Fall River accent. I don't know what that means. I did read in a comment, somebody said, and this is just, somebody said in a comment, so I don't know if it's true, but somebody said that Fall River is like a ghetto, low income, kind of trashy neighborhood. So by saying Fall River accent, it's like he's calling her trashy. But Karen seemed like she was quite wealthy. So, I mean, you can be trashy and be wealthy, I guess. But I don't know. It's just like, well, it just doesn't track. So I don't know. I thought she was wealthy. All right, I just looked it up. The Fall River accent is a New England accent that's similar to Rhode Island's dialect. It's characterized by rounded vowels, dropped R's, and R's where there aren't any. For example, Fall River becomes Fall River, and pizza becomes pizza. People also use classic words like wicked, blinka, and packy, as well as more local words like bubbla, water fountain, and grinda, Italian submarine sandwich, and puddle, meaning he was drunk. He was a puddle all day, according to Karen Reed. I mean, she is wealthy. That's how she can afford Alan Jackson and Yannetti and Elizabeth Little. And, you got the prosecution. He's on his own. I mean, Emily said he has some helper, but she only did like a couple of questioning. But to me, the fact of the matter is, sometimes people did the thing, but you can't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, and that's on you. It was on you to properly interview, properly investigate, properly photograph, properly video record, properly record. Why don't you have body cams? Why don't you? They literally talked about that there was a room that they could have used to video and audio record the interview, and they on purpose chose not to? That is weird. And you don't have enough evidence to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, and it was your job to get that evidence and you failed to do so? That's on you. Sometimes people do the crime, but you, as the investigators, the cops, the law enforcement, the judicial system, don't do your job properly. You fuck up, you screw up, you call people names, you drop the ball. Evidence seems weird. You drop the C word, cunt, you say you wish she would KIL herself. Jeez. There's no chain of custody. There's no credibility. There's no confidence in what is being said by the cops. There's no reports to back it up. There's no corroboration to corroborate. And it's like, okay, maybe she's a bitch. Maybe she's not likable. Maybe she was a cheater. Maybe. Don't forget the gravy. Don't forget the gravy. Don't forget the gravy. Don't forget the gravy was a note on a fridge in a dream that I had. I was in a client's house, although in real life I never met that client, and he lived across the country. And I was in his very fancy apartment, and I was getting something, and then I looked at the fridge, and there was a Post-it note on the fridge that said, "Don't forget the gravy." And I was like, oh my God. And I actually have it on my wall, but I'm like, I still don't know what it is. But I think the gravy is like, the gravy. The gravy is the good stuff. Then they didn't prove that she actually did hit him with her vehicle beyond a reasonable doubt, in my humble opinion. They proved that Karen was kind of a bitch. They proved that she was a raging, jealous, insecure, sad, kind of, I feel really bad for her. They proved that she's got some medical issues. They proved that she's kind of unhinged. They proved that she will call your ass more than 50 times in a motherfucking day. Oh my. It's insane. I mean, the defense side said that they think that their case is like 4 days worth. And they have that Dr. Russell the dog bite lady. They've got those FBI hired witnesses who were like bioengineer accident reconstructionists. I'm just like, wow, are you freaking kidding me? I thought that those voicemails were going to be bombshells. They were not. They were like, wah, wah, wah. Yeah, she screamed, I fucking hate you, Jack. I mean, but she sounded like she was literally screaming, you're a fucking pervert, John. I know you're over there with some other woman. Like, if she was faking that for an alibi, she is a queen of acting. She needs to get an Oscar, because that is unbelievably convincing that she didn't know that he was dead in the snow, because why would she be screaming all that stuff? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And then she said she was back in Mansfield, which there was no way she could have been. So again, that seems like she's telling him, you're using me, John. I'm here with your niece, and I'm leaving your fucking niece here. I'm going home. Which I agree with. I don't know if it was Surviving the Survivor I heard saying, like, it sounds more like she was trying to bait him to respond to her. So, I don't know. I am starting to believe that she was in a rage. She was pissed, and she zoomed off, like I said in a few videos. Who drives away without making sure the person they dropped off is getting in the house? Somebody who's pissed. I also said, like my friend the other day, she was doing me a favor, went 20 minutes out of her way to drop my son here, and she had to go somewhere. She was super, super late, so she just dropped him off and zoomed off. She knew I was home waiting for him. Okay, but other than that, either somebody very rude and inconsiderate doesn't wait for you to get in the house, or somebody who's mad at you, and they were actively fighting, so she zooms off, not realizing she hit him because she didn't look back and she was mad and it was a blizzard and somehow she didn't see, hear, or feel it. I don't know. But to put her in jail when, like I said, if they feel like, well, we do believe that it was driving under the influence, involuntary vehicular manslaughter, driving under the influence, which will, what's the term? I think the term is enhanced. So it's involuntary vehicular manslaughter, but driving under the influence. So like I was saying, involuntary vehicular manslaughter, it's like 30 days to 2.5 years in jail and some fines. However, if they find that you were driving under the influence, then it can be a minimum of 5 years in jail. So it basically, can more than double it. So if the jury were to say, well, we feel that, they did prove that you hit him because we don't believe the conspiracy theories, but we don't think you knew, so it's obviously not second-degree murder, but then we think you were drunk, but then again, we don't know for sure because, I don't know. So I feel like there's a very good possibility that, I think my kid is getting it, that they may find her not guilty. Or they may say, I don't think that they can say involuntary manslaughter but without the DUI. I believe that the charges are involuntary manslaughter under the influence, leaving the scene of a crime. I don't know if it's leaving the scene of a fatal crime. I don't know if that enhances it. And second-degree murder. So, if the judge does not allow for just dismissing the case outright, which I don't believe she will, the defense will put on their case and then the prosecution will have a rebuttal. But at this point, it's like, bitch, you did not come through. You just rested your case and I still am like, nah. That is pathetic. Super duper pathetic. It makes me think of like Casey Anthony, where I was super convinced that she absolutely did the crime, but then they were like, well, we don't have enough evidence to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. And in this case, it feels like, well, Casey Anthony was like, I believe, first-degree murder. She wanted her daughter dead. And this isn't even that. I mean, it's really sad to me that they spent a whole entire month. They're not even done yet. This is day 29. They spent, and that's 29 full days, meaning, well, some of them were half days, but it means 29, every single day for 29 days stretched out with breaks in between, weekends. This thing has been going on for 2 months, I think. And this is all that you can muster? It's very sad for John O'Keefe and his family, but I couldn't, as a juror, in good conscience, vote for guilty at this point, which they just rested their case. And that is weak AF, motherfucker. All right, my kid is up. Well, it's not over, but at this point, it really just seems like, what do you call it when a game, like there's a baseball game, and then there's a certain point where the team that's losing is behind so far that there's no way that they could ever catch up, so they just end it. I feel like that's where we're at. Like, let this girl go home. Let her go take care of her medical issues and her anger issues and her lack of self-esteem, and, they need to do some type of thing, set up for John O'Keefe, some kind of charity or organization or something to, help his family and other people. But I don't think sending her to jail is the answer. That's how I feel at this point. It's 10:15 a.m. on Friday, June. So I just listened. Most favorable to the Commonwealth under the prevailing Lattimore. So I just listened to Alan Jackson put his motion to dismiss the case, and then Prosecutor Lally did his counter motion, which Judge Beverly Canoni just denied the motion to dismiss the case. So now they're going to be bringing the juries back, and they'll be calling the first witness for the defense. And I mean, it's very sad, and there very well may be people out there saying there's absolutely no way she's not guilty. But what I'm curious about is, what does the actual jury think? Because they've been here, they've been listening and absorbing everything, supposedly. So what do they have to say? There is Paul O'Keefe and his wife. This is John's brother. And the hate stares that he has literally been able to stare at Karen almost the entire time. So the jury will be coming back in, and let's see. Here you can see Judge Beverly Canoni rising for the jury to come back in. Now the defense will begin their case in chief in defense of Karen Reed. This is on Surviving the Survivor. There's Paul. Oh, tired. This is Alan Jackson, Elizabeth Little, who I really can't stand her.
Thank you. This court's back in session. Please be seated.
Yannetti.
That the burden of proof rests with the Commonwealth. The defendant has no burden of proof whatsoever, doesn't ever have to testify or present any evidence. So the Commonwealth has completed its case. The Commonwealth has rested. And I want you to keep in mind that the defendant has no burden of proof. Ms. Yannetti, do you have a witness for us?
Thank you very much, Your Honor. The defense calls Brian Loughlin.
Okay.
All right, it's Yannetti. He is one of the defense attorneys. I didn't hear who he called. But so we will be getting another bald. Why is everybody in Canton bald-headed?
You solemnly the evidence you give the court and jury in the case hearing the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. I do. Great.
So here we go.
And where are you from,
So
sir?
Brian,
I'm going to ask you to keep your voice up as loud as you can, sir.
keep your voice up as loud as you can,
Put
sir.
your mouth as close to the mic as you can.
Let me actually mute it though. Well. Sad, pathetic case. And, you know, I don't know, maybe somehow in all of this, the jury will be like, well, it's a weak case. They had weak evidence. They had a weak investigation. They had a mean isn't the word for Trooper Michael Proctor. I wouldn't call him mean. I would call him unprofessional, immature, whack ass, just like kind of dumb, because you don't know. You're a freaking trooper. You do not know that your phone is not safe from being confiscated in a case like this. Like the fact that he thought that he could say all that stuff in a group chat text with 9 or 8 of his buddies, and he didn't think that that was going to become problematic later. Like, if you really thought that Karen Reed was guilty and you really wanted to get this bitch, then you should have done a really good case. You should have dotted all your I's and crossed all your T's and, you know, looped your Q's and watched your P's and your P's and your Q's. And just like, you know, I think that the message should be, no, you cannot send somebody to jail when you do work like this. No, it's not acceptable to say those awful things. No, a case that is just so shoddy is not strong enough to send a woman to jail. Did she likely actually kill John O'Keefe with her car? I think the answer is probably yes. That seems like the most likely, most reasonable thing. However, to say that she did it on purpose, that she intended to do it, I don't see any evidence of that. I really don't. I just don't. That message, so when Jen McCabe, there's 2 messages. One was Jen McCabe calling the 911 and you could hear Karen in the background screaming, and the other one was, I think Karen was like calling John's cell phone, and then it was recorded on his cell phone too. I think that that's where this particular voicemail came from, and Karen is screaming in the background, clearly heartbroken, terrified, mortified, in a panic, and trying to help save his life. So then with the voicemail messages, plus the Facebook messages, plus the fact that, like, Lolly's like, John was trying to break up with her. Maybe that's what the niece and nephew testified to. But the fact is that in that Facebook message chain, when she was saying, you know, if you're not into it, just tell me, and he didn't say that. In fact, he said, well, I thought you were going to come over for the weekend, and, you know, why didn't you ask me to help fix your shower, and, you know, aren't you going to be here? And then she did go, and we saw with our own eyes on a video that he was being nice to her. He hugged her, he kissed her, they were laughing, they were being friendly. There was much testimony from multiple people saying they were acting really nice that night. Now, yes, it's true. I know that she was trying to cheat on him with Brian Higgins. I know she was talking shit behind his back. I know that, you know, she was probably faking it. But those things, to me, do not lead up to motive for murder. And like I said in those other videos, yeah, maybe she really didn't want him going into that house because of Brian Higgins, but the thing is, they didn't prove to me beyond a reasonable doubt that she did it. And that's the thing. Me saying, well, she probably could have did it. I think maybe she did. But there's all these question marks, questions.
Question mark,
well,
question mark, question
that
mark.
is not beyond a reasonable doubt. If I still have doubt that's reasonable, then that's doubt.
Would that now be on January 29th?
Correct.
So, what time did you arrive at the DPW that early morning?
About 2:15.
When you got there, what did you need to do in order to go out plowing?
I needed to get into my truck
Is this the plow
and
guy?
get that prepared to go out.
All right, and your truck, is there one that's specifically assigned to you when you plow?
Yes,
And does that truck have any particular nickname?
yes, it's called the Franken truck.
And why is it called the Franken truck?
It is a truck that has a lot of different parts than what it's required. It's not parts that were made for that specific truck.
I'm just gonna let this play out to 10 minutes since it's already almost there.
An older one?
Yes, it was a truck that was very uncomfortable at the beginning to use, so they tried to make it as comfortable as possible.
All right. And that particular truck, is it used for anything else other than snow plowing?
Yes, it's used for everyday use.
Now, so you get to the DPW at 2:15, you say that you get your truck ready. What does that entail to get your truck ready, and how long does it take?
It takes about 5 minutes, but just basically you need to make sure that it's got enough gas in it so we're not going to the route and running out of diesel fuel, which is not good. It's just basically going over the truck, making sure you have everything you need for that night. Almost driving with the
My
spotlight.
Facebook page.
And with regard to the air ride seats,
Show them.
what action did you take with those that particular night?
What?
I raised it so that the bottom of my knees,
In front of you or to the side?
nothing.
All right. Now, do you have a specific route assigned to you?
Yes, I do.
Could you just...
I'm gonna open my curtain.
Right to left.
So you're going sort of from the upper right-hand corner of the diagram down Cedar Crest toward Fairview. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Can you take the laser pointer and just confirm that route?
Okay, so what I was saying is I wrote my notes down on this lovely notebook, which, by the way, I searched and searched and searched because I had bought a cute notebook, which is a hardcover. This is a side little quest, sidebar, not sponsored. I gotta start looking into getting sponsors. These are a little bit smaller than I really prefer, but and I always used to buy much bigger ones, like 8.5 by 11, big fat ones, and they're real heavy, but they have a floppy back. And these have a pocket. So anyway, I bought these one time, not these particular ones, but like a hardback with this side thing, and it had this. So it has like a place to put the date, the time, and then it has, let me see if I can get it to focus. So it has the weather icons. So anyway, I bought these notebooks that the rain icon had no rain, and that literally drove me mad. I was like, it's crazy that it's driving me crazy that the little icon, oh, I wish you could see it better. Let me see. This icon actually has little raindrops. And I searched and searched for notebooks that had the date, the time, space, the days of the week, and rain and the rain emoji. Okay, back to Karen Reed and back to my notes. I am sweating like Lolly must be sweating. I feel bad for Lolly, but even more than anything, I went from saying I'm leaning towards she's probably guilty and she's not likable to I still think she probably hit John with her car. She's probably not that likable. She probably is a bitch. But yet I feel bad for her. I actually feel bad for her. Okay, so let's see. So the MIT was the first. So Dr. Russell was the dog bite expert, I've been calling her. So there was a few things I wanted to note. My first video where I talk about her, I am just trying to get my sweaty ass hair off the back of my neck. It's starting to get curly. I was saying, you know, just because a person says I've had X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 35 years and 20 years of experience of education doesn't mean that they really did it all. But of course you would verify that in a court legal setting. And I said it doesn't mean that they did a good job. And I said all these things, but I saw her actually testify. Okay, so she went to like 4 years of college. Then she went to 4 years of like pre-med. No, she had 4 years of pre-med. Then she did 4 years of something else. Then she became a cop. Then she worked in ER for like 20 something years. So she was very, very, very qualified in my opinion. Other notes that I said about her specifically. So it was a little skeptical for me how she did say it could have been a mixture of bites and scratches. And I did feel like there was no bottom teeth part in the arm that could have shown like a bite. However, it still could, like, my theory on how would there been dog bites and scratches on his arm is not that they were beating him up and attacking him, the dog and the Alberts and Higgins attacking him in the house, but that she probably hit him with her car, and then he was out there, and then at some point the dog may have, or some animal may have been scratching at him, trying to see what it was. You know, what is this thing? Not attacking him, but just like, what is this thing here? What's this guy doing in the snow here? So, but again, what that means is that I am speculating. I am writing a story. I am filling in the gaps because the prosecution hasn't filled it in for me. So what I'm doing is I'm saying, well, there are scratches on the arm. Now, Trooper Paul said that the scratches came from him holding the glass and getting hit by the SUV and the taillights scratching and breaking. But he had no fractures in his arm, in his elbow, in his wrist, in his hands, in his shoulder, in his ribs, on the side of his body. He had no major trauma at all from the neck down. He had scratches on his arm that are inconclusive in my opinion. They could be from a dog or a raccoon or a gopher or a mole. Like, who the heck knows? Like, it could be random, various. It could have been from the glass. Maybe it was from the plow, although I looked at it again and I don't think it could have been from the plow, but who knows? It could have been from some rocks or something on the ground when he got hit and he went, I mean, they said that it didn't look like road rash, but I'm saying not road rash, but some kind of debris that scratched him. Apparently there were some type of puncture wounds in that sleeve of his shirt. However, there was no body cam footage that would have shown what happened. We could have heard what was being said. We wouldn't have had to have 12 different people saying maybe she could have, would have said sort of something like, what if any, something like this. Did I hit him? Could I have hit him? Did I hit him? Sort of, what if any. That is not conclusive. And, you know, I know that there's people who, seems like there's only like a handful of people who are genuinely like, she did this. Maybe she did do this. There's someone who's been commenting. I appreciate you. I love the commenting. I love the enthusiasm. However, I have said multiple times, as soon as you start spinning off to, well, I know what happened, and then you write a story about things that were not presented in court as evidence, if the prosecution didn't explain this to us, then you very well could be correct. Like, maybe everything that you researched is literally, maybe you sleuthed it to a perfect solution. The problem is that they didn't prove it to me, and they may not have proven it. They may not have proven it to the jury. Okay? So, and if the jury is anything like, so I've been saying I watch Peter, Alita, Emily, I've watched Lawyer Lee, I've watched Jay, I've watched Bob, I've watched Joel, I've listened to Bob's wife's name is Allie. She's also a defense attorney. And I've listened to probably like Joel, and some of them have had, Runkle of the Bailey. I've listened to a little bit of civil law, uncivil law, and Nate the lawyer. And I've listened to my own opinions. I've listened to the trial. I've listened to the testimony and the evidence and the witnesses. I've listened to the voicemail, all the voicemails. I've listened to the text message chain between Karen Reed and Ryan Higgins. I've listened to the Facebook message chain between Karen Reed and John O'Keefe. I listened to the Facebook message chain between Karen Reed and Laura Sullivan. We heard from damn near 60 witnesses. You're going to tell me you put on 60 motherfucking witnesses, or whatever the actual number is. Don't quote me. And I'm up here still like, she could have hit him. She probably did. But was it on purpose? Did she even hit him? How did she hit him in a way where he got his head fractured with like a fractured, what's the word? I'm looking for the word, fractal fractures, like it was like one blunt force trauma. I don't believe that he was beat up at all, not even a little tiny bit. But so this, okay, let me go back to my notes. I want to go backwards a little bit, or let's see. Wait, where's the other notes I had? I'm sweating. I'm actually really, really hot because the air conditioning's on, but on the other side. But if I don't have anywhere good to sit over there. And I like that the curtain is actually kind of a nice little backdrop, block off all that mess back there. Really just all my bins and all that stuff. Okay, so I will just go back to the top of my notes because I lost track. So back to Dr. Russell. She's had over 20 years of education and 35 years of experience. And one thing I will say that I really didn't like was that prosecutor Lally was, I felt, trying to imply that because she had her education back in the 90s, that somehow it's no longer valid. Like, no, you don't get dumb because time has passed. She's been working all these different jobs. So, for all of my things that I said against her, that was just me, not specifically against her as like a person, because it just saw her on the voir dire. And now I've seen her testify and I've listened thoroughly, and I feel like she is credible. I don't feel that she came out for some kind of fame. Emily D. Baker had said that, when someone is an expert in a field and there's a case, and so the way it happened was, from what she said, was she was actually working on another case about, I don't know if it was dog bites, with a colleague of Ellen Jackson's, and then she heard about this case and she was like, oh, I might be able to help. So, yeah, I did say, was she like, I can help, but maybe it was totally, I mean, and when you hear about her experience, so she was a doctor, she was a cop, and then she specifically worked with like in a facility. It was, what was it? It was the like the jail and the hospital jail. And then there was canine dog bites a lot, and because she was like the people who are getting arrested by the dogs, who have arrested by the cops who have the dogs, tend to get sometimes bites. And then that brings me to something I did say. I liked it when Dr. Russell said, it sounded like she had called a dog a person, because she was like, when a person bites you, a dog, I thought that was cute. Okay, so I did see, it seems like there was no bottom row of teeth, but again, if you're like stuck in the snow and it's like trying to like, I don't know, could be, it's a possibility. It's like, well, it could be. I'm going to check off the things that I've said. Plow guy thoughts, I'll come back to that. Okay, so these are notes that I said here. She seems professional. She was an ER doctor too. She said she was trained to make a diagnosis quickly as an ER doctor for many years. And then I also felt that the judge excluding her ability to speak about things beyond the dog bite, like how the head wound might have happened and the other things, I personally found that to be a poor ruling, because she didn't say, I only studied dog bites. She had this extensive history being a doctor in an ER, working with human beings, and because she was also a cop, and then she was working in the cop hospital with canines, she had a lot of experience with dog bites as well. However, to me, it was really ridiculous. I have to sneeze. Now I'm on the other side of the curtain, and the air conditioner is right here, so it's probably really loud. It's still hot as mofo, but I was like literally like I'm dying. And now I'm sitting in the mess, the exact opposite of hiding it. All right, let me try to make this quick. Finish it up. Okay, here I'm still reading on my notes. So she did seem professional to me, and I thought that it seemed like an imbalanced decision for the judge to say, yes, you can testify to the dog bites, but none of your other experience is relevant in any way. I just didn't find that to be a good ruling. But it was what she ruled, and so Dr. Russell testified that she did feel that those looked like dog bites. And then she also, there was this one line, I didn't find it, and I'm so tired now, but so Lolly was trying to say, like, there was some article that was saying that basically the science of taking like a specific dog's bite, I'm trying to get some better lighting, so trying to compare a dog's mouth to like a bite on the skin is really not a great science. And so she hadn't read the article, but she did acknowledge that. But then she said that, she was testifying that it could be a dog, like a large dog. She never said that dog was Chloe.
Certified in emergency medicine, is that correct?
That is correct.
And you're not, nor were you ever certified in forensic medicine, is that correct?
That is correct.
Pathology.
Correct.
And when was the last time that you worked at a coroner's office?
1995 in terms of doing autopsies. Yes.
Now, when was it that you first spoke to anyone from defense counsel in regard to your coming in here and testifying today?
May 17th.
Doctor, I am going to ask you to keep your voice up.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
May 17th, 2024.
May 17th of this year, is that right?
2024.
So about 6 weeks after this trial began?
I don't know when the trial began.
Now, as far as who reached out to who?
I reached out to a district attorney that I worked with with the LA coroner's office.
And then somehow that person put you in touch with Mr. Jackson, is that right?
Yes.
And was that also on May 17th?
17th and 18th, yes.
So I'm sorry, 17th or the 18th? Which one was it that you spoke with Mr. Jackson?
I didn't speak to him.
You did not speak to him?
Not speaking, not verbal. There was some email communication or text communication.
You communicated with him. Was that
Yes.
on the 17th or the 18th?
Yes, both, I think.
Both. Okay. And when did you render this opinion as far as what you've testified to here today?
Shortly after he sent me the files.
Now, in regard to those files, you testified in this court a couple days ago, correct?
I did.
And you were under oath at that point, is that correct?
Excuse me?
You were under oath at that point, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And when you were asked specifically what materials that you had reviewed, you included a number of items, but you did not include anything about a Dr. Sheridan affidavit, anything about a UC Davis report, or anything about any sort of bite history for a canine that lived or resided at 34 Fairview Road, correct?
That's correct, because I hadn't reviewed them then.
And so since then, 2 days ago, now you've reviewed them, correct?
Yes, I became aware that those files existed. Yes.
You became aware of those files. Were they not sent to you previously?
No, I think there were technical difficulties regarding me and the computer and downloading from Dropbox. And so, yeah, so they were, I think they were sent to me, but I think I didn't open them.
Now, with reference to these technical difficulties, did you ever express any of those technical difficulties, or, hey, I can't see the whole file, or there's other things in here that are listed that I can't look at?
No, I wasn't aware.
And so with regard to, as far as your reaching out or contact in regard to this case, how did that come about?
Okay. I saw an article, I believe it was in the Boston Globe, regarding this case. And I didn't, initially I didn't think anything of it. Then I saw an article that indicated that there was some...
I'm not asking you anything about anything any article indicated. You saw an article in the Boston Globe about
Yes.
this case, is that right?
Yes,
And how did you come upon it? You have a subscription to the Boston Globe?
I did at the time, yes.
Did at the time. What time was this?
In May,
May of 2024?
yes.
And how long had you had a subscription to the Boston Globe at the time that you saw this?
It was either a 6-month subscription or a year, I don't remember.
And that was the first time that you had seen anything about that?
First time I paid attention to anything like that, yes.
Now, again, you had testified here just a couple of days ago when I asked you questions about this, is that right?
Yes,
It wasn't in your testimony just a couple of days ago that the subscription was actually for a year or 18 months. You
No.
remember, not 6 months a year.
So only one person can talk at a time. So was that your testimony, doctor?
no, I don't believe so. I believe that I said it was a 6-month subscription or a 12-month subscription.
But in any event, you saw something, that's the first time that you recall seeing anything in the media about this case was in May of 2024?
It was the first time that I recall reading anything about it. Correct.
Now, did you write a report in regard to your opinions that you've testified here today?
No.
And I asked you that a couple days ago as well.
Yes,
Okay, so in the
sir.
last couple of days, you've had time to review a UC Davis report, Dr. Sheridan's affidavit, and any sort of dog bite history, but you haven't had a chance to write a report?
Objection.
Sustained to that form.
You haven't written a report, correct?
That's correct.
Why not?
I haven't been asked to write a report, sir.
Did you ever look at anything related to Mr. O'Keefe's head injury?
I looked at,
Objection.
Sustained.
Melanie, approach briefly.
Yes.
Now they muted, and I just wanted to record this because I thought, like, she mumbles under her breath, like, you stupid fucking... I just thought this was kind of funny, watching her drink her water. She seems like a very intelligent person, even though she's got that resting bitch face. Then, like, pan back to Karen. Can you hear my neighbor screaming? Yeah. Back to the video. So that was what she said that I thought was pretty freaking hilarious. You know, I think there were I'm reading over here at my laptop. You know, I think there were technical difficulties regarding me and the computer and downloading from Dropbox. I was like, that is so relatable. That feels so true. That is so funny. Also, look at my new little cute clock. It's, oh look, you can see me filming myself. This is so cute and adorable. I really love it. It's a little clock or an alarm. It looks like a little cell phone. It's very light and it's super cute. I got it on Amazon. Not sponsored. Also, I put in that part about how Lolly was saying, didn't you say it was a year to 18 months? And she said, I don't believe so. I said it was a year or 6 months, and she was correct, and Lolly was wrong. It's like, how are you going to try to impeach a witness and you're wrong? The shit is on a video, yo. We saw it. So I didn't like that either. I mean, he's human. He can make mistakes, but like, this is not the time to be making mistakes, in my opinion. Then, I think it was Alan or Yannetti who asked her. The defense attorney Yannetti said, was it Yannetti who was questioning her? I think so. Did she know about that Chloe, the dog Chloe, who was the Albert's dog, had an attack history, and then that was objected to. But then also it was asked, did you, because there was apparently pig DNA found in the scratches, which is disgusting and weird. It makes me want to scream like this. Ah! Okay. But, ew, and a little piece came off. Just like a little piece of DNA. Look at that little piece of DNA. And then, was it Yannetti? Said, I feel like it was Alan Jackson, but I know it was Yannetti. He said, do you know that dogs chew pig ears as a treat? Meaning they could have it in their teeth or in their claws. And then that was objected to. But I wrote it down because I thought, oh, that's an interesting thought. Okay. Point. That's an interesting, weird point. Anyway, so I have my little plow guy here in the circle and then all my notes about Dr. Russell around it. Oh, okay. So Peter Tragos said, so I'm quoting Peter Tragos, and Peter Tragos was quoting Yannetti. He said, quote, very confident where they're at right now. That's from Yannetti's mouth. So that was the quote that Peter said, that Yannetti said that they are very confident, they being the defense, is very confident where they're at right now. And I will say that today, it was almost like a different Karen. She was happy. She seemed light. She seemed like the freaking weight of the world was lifted off her shoulders. I genuinely feel that she feels like she's not going to go to jail. She's going to be found not guilty. And I'm beginning to think that that very well is the case. When you watch streams where, like Alita has been asking, I think almost every day, at least for quite a while now, she asks in the stream, guilty, not guilty, need more evidence. And since day one of those polls, it has been never high. The highest I ever saw vote percent for guilty was 6%. Then it was like in the teens for need more evidence. And it has steadily gone from like 80% up to like 95% of people are voting not guilty. And I have been voting, need more evidence, need more evidence, need more evidence. And they literally rested their case. And I'm like, but I need more evidence. For me to feel convinced beyond a reasonable doubt, I need more evidence. So short version of the plow, I do think that Lally made some good points, which I think this is part of what I recorded from Peter Tragos, that there was some discrepancy in the time that he went back and forth or something, or how long he was out, or what time was it, 5 something or was it 6 something when he came back. But the fact is that he did go by at some point and he didn't see a body, and that is what he testified to. What does that mean? Do I think that means that the Alberts were dragging him out? No, I think that maybe he was genuinely just in a place where he wasn't easily visible, and he thought he didn't see him because he didn't see him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was there, but maybe he was just positioned in a way where he just didn't notice. Could be. Again, it's a maybe. I don't know. It's like every single piece of evidence in this case is, well, it could go for the defense and it could go for the prosecution, depending on how you look at it. But that is not beyond a reasonable doubt. All right, let's see what else I have. I've got, okay. So I wanted to talk about comparing the education and the experience of the witnesses that the prosecution and the defense had put out. And like Michael Proctor, Trooper Michael Proctor, and Trooper Paul, the Reconstructionist guy. So Trooper Michael Proctor was the lead investigator, and he was the one who was saying all of those disgusting things about Karen's bodily functions, her accent, calling her a cunt, saying she's a fucking bitch, she's going down for this and all that stuff. And it's like, well, like I said, if he really believed that the evidence was there and he knew that she was guilty, how do you behave that way? That's not how professional cops and investigators behave, because you're gonna lose your evidence. You're gonna throw the case. If you genuinely believe that she was guilty, wouldn't you want to do everything in your power to bring forth good evidence, admissible evidence, and not make the whole world think you're a disgusting, despicable person, so much so that they'll let a possible murderer walk because you're such a scum and you're so unprofessional and you're so unable to conduct yourself in a reasonable manner that you create so much doubt that people who thought that she's most likely guilty, I was literally leaning towards she's most likely guilty, and now I'm still like she's most likely guilty. Well, she's most likely guilty of, I think what I believe is that most likely she did somehow hit him with her car. Like I thought to myself today, what if he was like puking, but then how would she hit him in the back of the head? That, and then there would have been puke and there would have been that evidence. Again, writing a story, reasonable doubt. Maybe he was walking away, walking like this. But the thing is, if you have to write the story and come up and put holes, fill the gaps, put all the stuff in all the holes, then that is called doubt. And I just feel like it's insane that the defense actually has these witnesses that have very credible education, experience, and I do believe it is appropriate to say that they're experts. And then the so-called investigators and cops and the experts that Lolly brought up, and hey, maybe it's not his fault. He's a prosecutor. Maybe he didn't have the budget. Maybe he didn't have the help that he needed to get the right kind of experts. I just feel like, why? And I know that there was this contention, and Emily talked about it a few times, that both sides wanted more time, and they were like, can we have more time? And the judge said no. Now, a lot of people think that Judge Beverly Cannoni is biased. I don't. I mean, I won't say I don't think she's biased. I don't think she's so biased that she's doing like an injustice of a job. But I just feel that there's just not enough evidence that's convincing beyond a reasonable doubt. All right, so I may have already said this. I did like Dr. Russell. I did find her to be credible and intelligent. I found her to be professional. I found her to be believable. I found her to be likable, to be honest. I like how, so when he was like talking about, well, they sent you the file and you didn't read it. And she was like, well, this was the thing, I wanted to find the exact quote, but she was like, well, I was having a little bit of trouble with the, how did she say, like, she was having a little bit of trouble with the file and the Dropbox, and it wasn't working for her, so she wasn't able to access it. But the way she said it was so funny. Okay, and then somebody else had complained that on Peter's channel, on his stream today, that they didn't like it, that when Alan Jackson was being aggressive, Peter said that he said he doesn't like that, but there was a few moments where he was like, I did like that. And then somebody made a comment kind of saying, like, basically, oh, you said you didn't like it when Lally was aggressive today, but, you were okay with it when it was the defense attorney, Alan Jackson. Well, what I've learned through watching trials is that, well, Lally is a prosecutor, and prosecutors have a huge amount of power. they can put you in jail for life. They can take away your liberty, your freedom, and your right to pursue happiness, okay? And so therefore, because they have the power of the state behind them, they have less leeway, a lot less leeway in acting aggressive in court. Whereas a defense attorney is there to defend your rights, your freedom, and trying to defend that you're innocent. And therefore, they're allowed to be a lot more aggressive, and they don't have the ability to put people away for life. They try to fight to keep people out of jail, innocent or not. Innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay? Then, all right. Although that's a lot easier to get in a regular chair. Okay. Something that struck me as a little bizarre, going back a little. The medical examiner. So when Elizabeth Little, defense attorney Elizabeth Little, was cross-examining the medical examiner, she only did a few. She only actually got to question a few people. Hold on. I'm trying to make this right. So there was one point where she was saying, she asked her, could such and such be blunt force trauma, blunt object? And she said, the ME said yes. Could such and such be? Yes. Then she says, could claws or nails be blunt force object? And she said, claws? Yes. And I'm like, yes? No. It's not a blunt force object, a claw. Anyway, so I thought that was a little weird, but maybe the ME was tired at that point. She was like, whatever, yes, I don't know. Oh, this was the quote. The defense doesn't have to prove it. They just have to create doubt. Like Judge Beverly Canoni said, the defense does not have to prove to you, well, who did it then? Well, how did they do it then? Well, why did they do it then? When, where, whatnot. They don't have to prove that there was a conspiracy. They don't have to prove this specific person did this specific action because of this specific reason, and this is how, what, where, why, the times, and screenshots, everything, receipts, everything. You don't
in everything. Receipts, proof, timeline, screenshots, in everything.
You know, no. All they have to do is to create doubt. Reasonable doubt. It has to be reasonable. Like in the Charlie Adelson trial. Charlie and that goofy ass Dan Rashbaum. Oh, they tried. They threw every excuse that they wrote in their little book and in their little script, and they blah 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 blah. It wasn't reasonable. It was BS. It sounded like garbage. It was just crap. Okay? Same with Chad Daybell. All his excuses, all his other people, everything that he had to say was just like, no, there's just no way to get over the fact that you did it. Okay? So here's another point. Another point that I think that somebody might have made this comment in Peter's stream tonight. There were no taillight this is a question. So there were no taillight fragments in his clothing or on his body? Because I had thought that there were. Maybe there were. Maybe they collected them from the clothing and then they put them in a bag. I don't know. Maybe that I was wrong about that, but not one. I do find it to be very highly sus that you're going to tell me all of those tiny little bits of glass were scratched him in the arm and not one fragment was left behind? Not one fragment left in his shirt? Or, like, I don't know. It just, I know the shirt was ripped off. They threw it on the ambulance floor. Then it was on the floor in the hospital. So, but still, I'm just like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. And actually, I think I know for a fact, I looked at that video. One of my videos going way back when, in the very beginning of this trial, 85,000 years ago, I zoomed in real close on that video where supposedly she looked like she might have backed into John's car. And I had said, well, what I said, I think I said I might have seen his wheel move. I definitely saw his wheel move. I think it was Runkle of the Bailey was showing it, and he had it up in a way where I was like, oh, absolutely, I saw that his tire went like, doop. But I also absolutely saw that no snow fell off the back window, and I feel like if you had impacted him hard enough to crack your taillight, snow would have fallen off. Oh yeah, and then what Runkle said was that actually, so it was like, let's say this was his, let's see, I need something. Oh yeah, I have my car over there. All right. So, let's see how this might look. Okay, so I think it's going to be flipped. So say this was John's car parked in the driveway, and this is Karen's car. Okay, and
The
so
car
she's
parked.
let's
The
see.
car is parked.
Let's say this is him parked, and then this is her. I'm trying to make it look like how it looked on the video. Okay, so he's here. She's backing out. She's backing out like this, okay? So the idea was that she hit him right here with her car, breaking her taillight. And what I was saying was I didn't see any snow falling off the back window when you see his tire move. But what Runkle pointed out was it didn't look like she went like this, taillight to taillight. It looked like if she did hit him at all, it was like, how was it? It's like she was going like, she's backing up, and it's more like this. Basically that it was more like the side of her car looked like that's what went bonk. Not taillight to taillight. But if you want to see that, you could check out Runkle's channel.
Of course, on mine, Cat
I don't know which day, which video, but it was only a couple days ago from today. And today is Friday, June 21st. My hair's like freshly washed, but it's also like, it's a little too, it's always just a little awkward. I don't know, my hair is the weirdest. Okay. And was that my last note? That was my last note about things that I wrote. So I'll just finish it off to say more defense witnesses Monday, maybe Monday and Tuesday. There's something else that I don't remember hearing anybody talking about, which is that after the defense rests, I thought that the prosecution has a rebuttal, and maybe they will, but it's just going to be really brief, maybe not even a whole day. Like what to me, it's kind of like, what the fuck could you bring out at the bottom of the bottom of the bottom of the bottom? This isn't even the bottom of the ninth. This is like the bottom of the 11th inning. This is the bottom of the 30th inning. And like, you know, so I think I spoke about Casey Anthony in one of those videos I made. And I know Casey Anthony, that to me, I don't think it compares, because I believe it was an intentional first-degree murder of her own baby. That's what I believe with Casey Anthony. But she just happened to get off because they could not prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. Even though I felt I had no doubt. However, I didn't actually listen to every day. Like, that was many years ago. And I wasn't into listening to I wasn't listening to trials back then. I was just like listening to, you know, the headlines. But, you know, maybe a little bit more than that. But it's just, you know, it's tragedy. There's Wendy Adelson, who I believe is getting away with murder every single day she walks free. But that, again, first-degree intentional murder. You know, so what I'm saying here about Karen is like, maybe she's not likable. Maybe she's a bitch. Maybe she hit the man with her car in a drunken rage and she knew about it, and then she left him a bunch of crazy-sounding voicemails like she was crazy jealous. saying, you're using me, meaning you're using me to be a fucking babysitter here with your fucking niece when you should be home, but you're out there fucking somebody, and I'm here, and I'm, you know what, fuck it, I'm leaving. I'm gonna leave her, which she didn't do. And again, I do believe her own words, that she didn't ever wanted to be a mom. She resented having to do it, and she didn't want to have to fucking deal with it. I do believe that. I do believe that that relationship was doomed and not gonna last. Like if he hadn't died, I think they would have been broken up. I thought that the voicemails were supposed to be bombshells. I fucking hate you, John. But then she keeps calling him, saying he's at somebody with a girl, like, and she sounded so deranged. She sounded so distressed. She sounded so
distressed,
so deeply, all of those words. So I'm not like a mind reader, but I am an intuitive person, and I do have a sense. I get very, very easily triggered into sadness and tears. You know, I see something sad. It could be a freaking commercial. It could be in another language. I see something sad and I instantly feel, you know, I guess you could say I'm an empath, and I can feel the sadness and the anguish when people express it. I mean, pretty much all of us can, so it's not like I have some special powers. But I do feel that for me, it's strong, and sometimes it's quite often it's annoying. However, the other side of that is when someone is fake, and I don't feel that feeling, like when someone is expressing tears or crying or sadness, and it doesn't ring true, like Aaron Patterson and Chris Watts and what's that motherfucking guy who killed his wife Lacey, the pregnant wife Lacey, Scott Peterson. When those totally faked emotions don't evoke sadness, it evokes something else, like, that's suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Okay? Well, yeah, be suspicious. And what I'm saying is that Karen Reed's voicemails sounded distressed. She sounded I got chills. I got upset. I felt the feelings. I felt like, oh, she's really, really mad at him. But she's mad at him, it sounds like, because she's feeling like, you're taking advantage of me. You're using me to babysit your damn kids, and you're out going to a party. And it also sounded like Karen wanted to go home because the daughter, who I think she was 15, she was home alone. And I think the boy, who was 12 or something, was sleeping at a friend's house or something. But so the girl was home alone, and she's like, I don't want to go to the party. Let's go home. Again, I'm sort of speculating, but she said her stomach was bothering her, and based on all of the obvious health problems that they testified to, it's probably true. And again, this is coming from me, who did a whole diabolical Karen Reed and the freaking text chain between her and Brian. And again, I do believe there's some truth to that. She probably didn't want to go in there. She didn't want to see Brian. She didn't want John to go in there and see Brian. But she also was pissed. The whole reason she was doing the thing with Brian in the Foist place was because she was jealous that John, according to her interpretation, was cheating on her with Marietta Sullivan, who she thought she saw him making out with in Aruba. And so that was why I think, me writing my story, this is my story. I think that she immediately planned to get revenge and started, got Brian's number from Melissa, or however she got it. That's what she told him. Who knows if it's true. and she's trying to do, maybe she's trying to fuck him on the side because she just wanted to, and she wanted to have revenge in her own mind. Or maybe she really did want to make John jealous, which is why she mentioned, you know, the camera showing them walking out together. Maybe she was playing some sick, twisted game. Maybe she really also wanted to go home, wanted to not leave the niece alone. Why? Okay, so again, does this mean she didn't hit him with her car and leave him there to die? No, it doesn't. Could she have actually hit him with her car because she didn't want him to go in there and see Brian Higgins, and so she was like, fuck it, you're dead, bitch. Hit him with the car and left him there, and then was acting like a lunatic? Maybe. But my spidey senses felt like, ooh, she really is distressed. She is disturbed and perturbed. She is going through it. And then the video, the voicemails of her finding John's body, the video footage of how she was behaving, the testimony of how she was behaving, all of it makes me feel bad for her. It makes me feel like she suffered. It makes me feel like, yeah, she was doing the most and doing the worst and being a bitch and going behind his back and trying to be a cheater. But does that mean that she killed that man on purpose and she should go to jail? I don't know. If it does mean that, and if that's what did happen, then I feel that at the resting of the prosecution's case, 30 days of trial, 29 days of trial, I should be advocating, yes, she's guilty and these are the reasons why, instead of this flim-flam of, I don't know, this person said it could have been this, that person said it could have been this other thing. I think it might have been this, that, or the other thing too. And that's reasonable doubt. Hoo-hoo. Okay, see you. And now I'll play the video clips that I recorded, and then I'll see you in the next one. Bye. There's Karen's parents. There's John's mom. There's Karen. That's Dr. Russell.
And dog.
You've reviewed at least a report, if not a series of reports, that indicate that a particular dog has an attack history, correct?
Yes.
You were asked specifically by Mr. Lally whether or not the wounds, are you also aware that there was pig DNA?
I'm aware of that.
Did that have any? You were asked several questions about the injuries that you saw and studied attendant to highly trained canines, police dogs, correct?
Yes.
Very different than just a domestic dog that somebody might have as a pet, correct?
Correct.
And the bite injuries are very, very different as well, aren't they?
That is correct.
You were asked whether or not you were aware, based on UC Davis's report, that there was no canine DNA found on the swabs that were sent to them, correct?
Yes.
Are you also aware that there was pig DNA?
I'm aware of that.
Did that have any impact in did you analyze that at all, one way or the other?
Not to any degree of scientific certainty, no.
But you do know that dogs chew on pig ears sometimes, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
You've reviewed at least a report, if not a series of reports, that indicate that a particular dog has an attack history, correct?
Yes.
You were asked specifically by Mr. Lally whether or not the wounds in a dog attack on another dog attack where a human stuck a hand in the middle look anything like these, correct? Remember that question?
I remember a question like
And
that.
you said no, but, and then you were cut off. Remember that?
Yes.
You finish that answer for us.
Yes. So animals and dogs in particular can inflict a wide variety of injuries on the skin. from just individual puncture wounds to abrasions where there's a scratching of the skin to where there's actually a pulling away pulling away of the skin from the underlying tissues, your ripping effect. And so
So I did actually really like Dr. Russell quite a bit. I thought she was very intelligent and professional. Now I just wanted to show this. They scan across the courthouse. They focus on Karen Reed a bit. And later in the day, today, I feel like she really seemed just so much happier, lighter. I feel like she believes she's going to be acquitted. And then there's John's mother looking very sad and upset, rightfully so. I feel like she is likely thinking, will there be any justice for my son? And at the same time, then there are, so it's very heartbreaking. Look at how sad that is. And it's silent because there's a sidebar. And there is Karen's parents, the man who just turned his head down, and the woman is the mother. So they as well want their daughter to be set free, and they feel like justice for Karen Reed is what's on the line. And I don't know what John's mom believes, but I would love to know.
You are unmuted. Mr. Lally, you had no more questions?
No, yeah.
Okay. All right, doctor, you are all set.
okay, thank you.
So I'm going to back this up real quick.
It deserves, like I said, I've not decoded ways.
Lally is making some headway with this witness.
Not something that has been done, but I think we need to consider the 3-minute offset as it applies to giving significance to the Apple Health data and the Waze GPS.
Now,
I back that up
McCabe's phone again,
because this
as
is
far as the
interesting.
search, what you indicated as last view time, are you aware that that is actually related to a time that it was actually focused on the screen as opposed to your interpretation of it?
I'm aware that from that it appears to be the last time and date it was focused, and when it was no longer was focused, that's when the timestamp was written. That's what's consistent with the other data on this particular phone on this very specific iOS.
Now, with regard to looking at this search, you mentioned that you used something called an ArtX tool. Is that
So
correct?
Yes, sir.
that's actually different than what I thought it was. I'm really glad I backed it up, because what he's saying is the 227 timestamp is the last time that tab was focused to that iOS, which is different than what I thought he was saying, which is why I backed that up to hear it again, because he is saying the last time and date it was focused, and that's when it was written, which is not consistent with what the other experts are saying. The problem is I am having such a hard time parsing it out. I imagine the jury is just glazed over, but that's why I wanted to back it up. It is different than what they were saying. He's saying that's the last time, and that's when it was written. The state has said that's the last time that the tab was moved, but other things were pulled into focus later, and that's when the time was written. So no, the way Lally asked the question means he answered it in a way that said what he was saying earlier, which is that the last time that was focused was 227, and that's when it was written, that indicating that Jen McCabe's search would have been before, not after, which is different than what the prosecution's witnesses said. But I wanted to make that clear because I don't want to be misleading as I am trying to parse all of this testimony as well. So I apologize if I caused any confusion. It is confusing. It's not you.
And are you aware that's a tool that was actually created by Mr. Ian With?
Be done for the day. 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 Be done for the day.
All right, George, that's it for today.
Woo!
All right, so jurors, we are going to send you home for the weekend. Please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into this case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case,
End of week 8.
disregard it. We are on track. You will get this case next week for your deliberation.
You will get this case next week for your deliberations. Friday. What a Friday. All right. As they let the jury out, we are going to wrap up, answer a few questions, and then we're gonna
All right, why don't I see counsel regarding scheduling?
we're gonna roll. We're not gonna roll yet. I want to see if they put anything else on the record. So let me see if they do. I don't know if they will. We're gonna zoom. She has a lot of scheduling sidebars. I think she's trying to figure out when they're going to get to closing arguments, and it looks like they are done for the day. So the jury is going to get this case next week. It's going to be an interesting and dynamic VidCon for me. It's going to be fun. That's what we've got the app for. We're going to figure it out.
Perfect. Please have a safe weekend. Thank you, Rebecca. And that's an insightful comment. Says that's not reliable. That we didn't necessarily know about, but now we do. And they didn't know where he was. Trial started. Everything's going on. So they're not able to do that. And it's past the deadline to even have that evidence in. Rebecca, well, I got to go save some lives in the ER. Glad I caught some of this. And for the record, in 28 years, I have seen a lot of dog bites. It does look like a dog bite. However, science isn't perfect. Please have a safe weekend. Thank you, Rebecca. And that's an insightful comment there about it potentially being a dog bite. Okay, so now we get to cross. And he basically asks, are you aware that 2 Commonwealth experts disagree with you? And he's like, yes. He attacks his credit or his education experience certificates a little bit. Then it makes it seem like when he called Selbright, he talked to people that worked for the Commonwealth's expert, and the Commonwealth's expert was supposed to be the one to help him, which obviously would look good on that expert. This guy's like, I don't remember that. I don't ever remember talking to that guy. I know he may have called me. I thought it was kind of an awkward cross. This guy was apologizing for frustrating Lally. Lally was kind of huffing and puffing a little bit. Lally definitely tries to use some of what his expert said on cross. And then this was one of the best parts for Lally in the cross. And this is why I thought this guy's testimony was mid at best. First off, I think they got to the point, which I appreciated on the direct. And I love when you get to an expert, but I don't feel like it was super clear or convincing compared to the state's experts that I actually thought did kind of a good job on the Selbright stuff, except for the fact that what they're asking me to believe, meaning the state, is that what the report says is not true. So it's like, do I want to just go with the defense witness and with common sense? Or does it kind of make sense what the Commonwealth is saying, even though it's different than what the words say on the report? But these next 2 clips I'm going to play have me leaning pretty heavily towards the Commonwealth's explanation of the phone records. Now, on a scale of 1 to 1,000,000, how important do I put this on the scale of proving guilt of Karen Reed? Very low. At the bottom, frankly. Because this does nothing to prove Karen Reed did it. I know everybody's saying this is what started the conspiracy. I don't care. I don't care what happened before this trial. I'm looking at what's proven in this trial and what they did in this trial. This does nothing to overcome reasonable doubt based on what the Commonwealth's been presenting the last 29 days. So I can say that at the same time saying this was bad for the defense, in my opinion, these next 2 clips that I'm going to play.
Come up. I also notice the specific phrase, how long does it take to die from hypothermia? So as you do this Google search, you try to repeat what's being done. Those are 2 suggestions that actually came up.
And so that was something that was a suggestion and not something that was actually searched, correct?
Yeah, no, I know this different from my affidavit from about a year and a half ago, in all fairness, but
that's entirely different.
One person, Mr. Lally.
I'm sorry.
One person at a time.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, in fairness, I want to give you my best knowledge as I understand it sitting here today, including after my review of Mr. Whiffen and Ms. Hyde's report. So I want to do everything I can to shine as much light and clarity on this as possible. So as I repeated, since that time and did the search, I would notice that is one of the things that would come up, and it would have a little picture of like a dinner plate or something like that. And there was actually a similar, if not the same picture found in the artifacts of that phone.
So just to conclude, that's not what you said in your affidavit that was actually filed under pains and penalties of perjury with this court, correct?
Yes, and
So he basically is talking about the fillable Google suggestions that kind of prove when people search different things and when they click it and why they click it and what it proves that they actually typed into the search box, because we know what Google will fill it with, which is exactly what the Commonwealth experts said. He filed an affidavit that didn't say that. And now, after the Commonwealth witnesses have testified to this exact stuff, now he's admitting that what he put in his affidavit was wrong. That's interesting to me.
Similar, if not the same picture found in the artifacts of that phone.
So just to conclude, that's not what you said in your affidavit that was actually filed under pains and penalties of perjury with this court, correct?
Yes, and on that day, that is what my true and proper belief was. Okay, it's since further testing, I have found that I now believe that that was probably an automatic one, and if I've caused you any distress, I apologize.
I haven't caused you any distress.
Okay.
What I'm asking, sir, is that's what you filed because that's what you thought at the time, correct?
Yes, sir.
And subsequently, you've done further testing, and that's shown that you were wrong, correct?
That is correct.
Now, according to your affidavit, there was a search for how long to digest food at 6:23:49 a.m. that precedes the search for how long to die, and the misspelling here would be the CLKD at 6:23:51 a.m. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, is it possible that the how long to digest food was a predictive suggestion from Apple rather than a search entered by the user? Is that also correct?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I believe that it was, if it had picked up a earlier search from 227 of how long to die in the cold, and then you went to retype it in, it may have then tried to give you something similar at the 6:23 and 6:24 timelines. So hopefully that answers your question.
So steps, going to Mr. O'Keefe's health data, steps doesn't necessarily mean that someone is physically taking steps, correct?
Again, the research is done for this. Steps tend to be a very accurate artifact.
So steps cannot also be coincided with, say, movement in a car or other sort of movement of the phone as far as the health data is concerned?
Sure. Well, I did, quite some time ago, do some testing with an actual iPhone 11, the same make and model, and took a drive and tried to see if it would register steps. It did not. I sat in a chair and tried to duplicate how I thought I would walk to see if it recorded steps. It did not. I took the phone from the floor to the ceiling to see if it would record a flight of stairs. It did not. The only
that I thought was good for the defense, that he had done these little tests that maybe the jury has done. A lot of you told me in the chat they had done. So I thought that was good that, he said he did all these things and it didn't pick that up, which shows the reliability of the steps. So that I thought was good. So there are people, some people liked green. Some people didn't like green, like Truth Be Told said. He was kind of like Trooper Paul, not as specific necessarily. I think probably the most plausible outcome of all of this is what Sarah said. The experts kind of just cancel each other out. I have a hard time believing the Commonwealth and a hard time believing the defense experts. It's kind of probably somewhere in the middle, or I just don't know what this actually proves. But again, you know what it doesn't prove? How John O'Keefe died, how it's possible the car hit him, how the Commonwealth is going to prove. And it's pretty funny to read the chat. Stephanie says you need mods. We have mods, first off, but people go wild if you disagree with something the defense does. And I can't control that. I'm trying to tell everybody I have found plenty that's not perfect for the defense. That's bad for the defense. That's good for the Commonwealth. Nowhere near enough to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt. There's also even more that's good for the defense and bad for the Commonwealth. And I've called it on both sides. I always will, regardless of what the chat, says. And some people getting frustrated by that, saying I'm being willfully blind or whatever. Like an expert saying he was wrong in his affidavit and then going back and doing the work that the state's experts had already done and testified to me adds credibility to the state's experts and take some of his away. People are saying admitting you're wrong adds credibility. Okay, but that's not good for experts to be wrong. It's just not. All right. Joe, we'll celebrate copying to its issues. Could this open up appellate issues on other case where Celebrite data is a material fact the jury decided on? I think so. I think it's possible. I don't know, but I think it's possible. Kevin said Karen was a professor of mine. She was great. Not guilty 100%. Interesting. Tim, why would Reed testify? There's nothing she can do to help her case on the stand. Well, she said she wanted to, and sometimes defendants testify even when, the general public think they shouldn't. All right, I got to go. I'm out of time. How long do you think deliberations will be? Couple days. I think it'll be multiple days. Tracy G, looks like he got attacked by a dog, fell, hit his head. No one knew he was there. Called the dog back in the house. Cops assumed KR hit him and made the case fit. I think there's a lot of plausible explanations. I'm not sure what happened, but that's up for the jury to decide. The defense is presenting their case now. That's all we got for this time. Please hit that like button. It helps so much with these videos, especially for the rewatch.
Oh yeah, and then we'll be back to trial on Monday, and enjoy the weekend. Thank you, my lovely peaches. Join me, click subscribe, like, comment, subscribe, share, plus hit the bell notification. Join me also. lovedreamingpeach.com is my website, and you can join me there. Thank you. Also on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and livingpeach.com is my blog. Join me. See you there. Bye.